HistoryMarche, Romanian History, Battle of Calugareni, 1595 AD. Let's go. Story of Michael the Brave, Part 1.
It's the late 16th century. After decisively defeating Safavid Persia,
Okay, so the Ottoman Empire is getting bigger,
war machine towards Europe.
becoming more of a threat
Although
to the
officially
west.
at peace for nearly 3 decades, conflict has been brewing for years along the unstable
So they have
Ottoman-Austrian border.
Moldova, Transylvania and
Both
Wallachia.
sides keep looking for pretexts to launch frequent, large-scale raids into enemy territory.
Okay,
By 1591, clashes intensify along the Bosnian-Croatian border, and things finally come to a head in the summer of 1593. The war begins on July 29th.
it was
But
inevitable,
before we
really,
continue,
wasn't it?
I want to give a shout out to Curiosity Stream. A subscription to the code is both empires are officially free. Although officially it was the Ottomans who declared war against Austria, both empires are in fact itching for a fight to extend their control over the Trans-Danubian and Carpathian regions.
Right.
Numerous military operations mark the first years of the war, mainly for control over crucial fortresses along the Danube, with Ottomans maintaining firm dominance on the strategic level, poised to attack Vienna from the western Trans-Danubian
I see.
sector
Vienna's
that
the
they firmly
capital of
control.
the
But the
Royal
old Austrian
Hungary
capital
and
is
Austria
spared when the attack is
at the moment,
postponed
right?
because of the death of Sultan Murad III and the ascension of Mehmed III.
Okay, so succession is delayed the situation.
Is the unstable situation in the Carpathians, created by harsh economic pressures imposed by the central government. Namely, because of expensive wars with Persia and Austria, the Ottoman Empire needs vast sums to maintain its dominance in the Middle East and Europe.
So what are
In
death
addition,
taxes?
its army needs modernizing to keep pace with European powers. But because of the collapse of the Timar system, the expensive modernization has to be financed from the palace coffers. Consequently, the Ottomans impose heavy taxes in many parts of the empire, including the Carpathian principalities.
I see. Did they get the worst of
The
it?
16th century, Wallachia and Moldavia, although nominally autonomous, are in reality oppressed Ottoman provinces. Their voivodes serve as mere tax officials for the Sultan. In the Ottoman legal system, such vassal states were referred to as tax farms. However,
Well
this
then.
higher taxation
Well
isn't
then.
felt as hard in Transylvania.
Oh,
In the
interesting.
16th
Why so?
century, It is the richest and most urbanized of the 3 principalities, with a thriving manufacturing sector. Strategically,
Interesting.
it is in the outer reaches of the empire, protected by the Carpathian Mountains and many fortified cities. Transylvanian voivodes traditionally use this strategic position to bargain for lower taxes and
Okay.
better terms overall. In
They
contrast,
have more
Wallachia
chips
and
to bring to the
Moldavia
table
are
when
less developed. Their
discussing.
weaker economies are mainly structured around agriculture and cattle breeding. Furthermore, in
Discussing
exchange for being
negotiating.
allowed to rule as vassals of the Sultan, their voivodes agree to tear down existing stone fortifications and are forbidden from building new ones.
Wow.
Leaving their
Just
countries
imagine
exposed
having
to
to
the
do
Ottomans,
that.
who occupy fortified positions along the Danube, from where they can exert control over the 2 principalities, impose much heavier taxes, and launch frequent, devastating Akinji raids. What's worse, Turkish populations begin settling in Wallachian territory, building communities and mosques, thereby violating the Treaty of Nicopolis that prohibits this by the vassal status of Wallachia.
That's
Powerless
really
to
gonna piss
resist,
people off.
Wallachian and Moldavian nobility, in turn, oppresses their own people throughout the 16th century as they try to appease the Sultan, lest they be replaced by a pretender more capable of meeting the higher taxation quotas. Economies of the 2 Danubian principalities are further strained as they are obliged to sell grain, cattle, and other produce to the Ottoman Empire at below market prices.
are
Even
probably
this
not being
exploitation
able to keep
is
much for
overextended
themselves.
because of long and expensive wars,
Mhm.
as well as the ongoing modernization of the army.
You're just
Motivated
forcing
by
these
these
two
harsh conditions, the three
principalities
princes,
to rise up.
Sigismund Bathory, Aaron the Tyrant, and Mihai the Brave, join the Holy League. And they promise each other to revolt on the same day,
Okay.
November the 13th, 1594. Of the
How
three
does that
princes,
go?
Mihai will soon come to the fore as a military leader. Born
Mikhail.
on January 15th, 1558, Mihai is the son of the former voivode of Wallachia, Hatrashko the Good, and Feodora Cantacuzino.
Okay.
On his father's side, he traces his roots back to Vlad Dracu, the father of Vlad the Impaler, who, in
Ooh.
turn, is Mihai's great-great-great-uncle.
Okay.
And through his grandmother,
So he's
he
got
is the
strong lineage.
great-great-grandson of Stefan the Great of Moldavia. On his mother's side, he belongs to the Byzantine Cantacuzino family. The prestigious family claims descendancy from the Byzantine Emperor John VI Cantacuzenus.
Very
Little is
strong
known about Mihai's
lineage.
upbringing, but in his 20s, he became one of the wealthiest people in Wallachian history, holding vast estates in Oltenia, personally owning more than 200 villages.
Only
He
more
marries
than
a wealthy
200
Oltenian widow,
villages.
with whom he has one, possibly two sons, and a daughter.
Okay.
By the age of 35, he rises to political prominence, occupying several honorable positions in the state.
I'm
before
liking the
eventually
backstory here.
becoming the Ban of Craiova in 1593. Fearing Mihai's growing power, Prince Alexander III forces him to swear in front of other boyars that he is not of princely descent. By publicly humiliating Mihai like this, Alexander hopes to remove him as a potential rival to the throne.
Is that going to be the
However,
case, though?
does not settle the
No.
issue.
I didn't
Mihai
think so.
borrows from Turkish moneylenders in Wallachia and flees the country,
Okay.
fearing assassination. He travels to Constantinople, where he uses his political connections, but more importantly, his Cantacuzino ancestry, to secure even larger loans and persuade the Sultan to back him in his bid to the Wallachian throne.
Nice.
But Mihai
Okay.
has no intention of paying off his debts. Upon returning, he uses the borrowed money to gain support from the boyars and is elected Prince of Wallachia on October 11, 1593. Confronted with
How
harsh
do you like
terms
me now?
imposed by the Ottomans, he makes a clean break with the past. Intent on taking Wallachia in a new direction, he will make a series of controversial decisions, for which he
Okay.
will be remembered as a heroic leader by some and as a treacherous tyrant by others.
And I'm looking forward to finding
He
out what
replaces
they are and
high-ranking
making a
officials
decision
with
myself.
loyal supporters, mainly from his power base in Oltenia. And after nearly 70 years of princes and boyars who were compliant towards the Ottomans, Mihai's Wallachia will fight for its independence.
Nice.
The Holy League promises to support the Wallachian revolt, knowing that it could open a second front against the Ottomans. So, with his position at home consolidated and the alliances in place, Mihai decides it's time to act. Pretending he wishes to settle financial debts, he invites Turkish creditors, and in an act of clear
Ooh,
provocation,
big
massacres them, together with a
betrayal.
large escort of soldiers.
Big
With
betrayal.
around 8,000 troops at his disposal, Mihai then personally leads a swift attack on the key Danube crossing at Giorgio. The town is taken
does
and
it go?
plundered, but the siege of the island fortress guarding the river crossing fails, as troops, ammunition and provisions are sent from the Ottoman side. Mihai returns to Bucharest after learning from his spies that a conspiracy against him is launched by adherents to the Turks, accompanied by a contingent of troops.
Okay. How does
Sets
he
up
deal
an
with
ambush
this?
for them, capturing and executing all of the conspirators.
Ooh.
Determined to prevent similar
Nice.
future inroads into Wallachia, Mihai marches east, intent on clearing bridges and Ottoman garrisons on either side of the Danube. He successfully besieges important Ottoman fortifications.
Oh, he's
and
just
raids
fucking
numerous
making his
towns
way
and villages
through
in the
these
lower
bits like
Danube
butter.
area, leaving utter destruction in his wake before returning back across the river. Further upstream, Mihai defeats the Ottomans again and takes the fortified town of Silistra. before reducing it to ashes,
Nice.
along with the surrounding countryside. Destruction of important border fortifications in quick succession causes great concern in Constantinople. The Sultan dispatches an army from the south under Mustafa Pasha and redirects a strong Tatar contingent from the Hungarian front to enter Wallachia from the west. The Tartars advance quickly toward the reported position of the Wallachian army.
So he's about to get attacked on two fronts. So the other two principalities going to react? What's going to happen?
To set up an ambush while maintaining an appearance that his entire army is encamped just north of Giorgio.
So interested to
Expecting
know.
to encounter Mihai further east, the Tartars fall straight into a trap while marching in a loose formation, losing nearly half of their troops.
They lost nearly half to such a small contingent.
Wipes out their army, preventing them from linking up with Ottoman forces approaching from the south.
No way. So he caught him, like, he got him into a trap which got them to lose half of their forces, and then he done a Napoleon move, which was move quicker, outmaneuver them, stop them from linking it up, destroy that half of the force, and then turn back around and go for this. Napoleon would be proud.
Meanwhile, Mustafa Pasha crosses the Danube to confront the Wallachian prince.
Nice.
Aware of the enemy's numerical superiority, Mihai reacts quickly.
Okay, what does he do this time?
Just 4 days after defeating the Tartars, he leads a daring night attack
Nice.
into the Ottoman camp and routs Mustafa's army, forcing them into a disorganized retreat. He defeats the Ottomans in a pitched battle.
Nice.
General Mustafa. Mihai then embarks on a campaign of pillage and destruction.
Holy shit.
Wallachian troops show
Mihai
no
is
mercy,
doing bits.
storming several fortified cities, leaving countless towns and villages in ruins, with the civilian population suffering the most. Another
That's not
Ottoman
so good.
general, Hasan Pasha, takes over Mustafa's retreating army and attaches it to his own contingent. Mihai gives battle and completely destroys Hasan's army, killing the Ottoman general, along with
Killing
Crimean
Hasan as
Khan who was
well.
accompanying him.
No one could
Mihai
stop
then
him.
retreats back to Wallachia with a vast plunder. He comes to the aid of Aaron the Tyrant in attacking Brela, Kilia, and other Ottoman positions.
Nice. There's now two
With
fronts
the lower
here.
Danube area and the Danube Delta secured, supply lines to the Ottoman army in Hungary are virtually cut, which significantly slows their otherwise successful campaign against the
Okay,
Holy
what's
League.
Sigmund gonna do?
Mihai renews his attack, devastating parts of northern Bulgaria, pushing deep into Ottoman territory. At one point, he reaches within 1 day's march from Constantinople itself.
Just to
Before
show
turning back,
he
for
can.
assistance from the Holy League fails to materialize.
He's getting
Many in
worried
the
actually.
Ottoman capital begin referring to Mihai as king and even emperor, spreading rumors that he might take the capital at any moment. In
Ooh,
order to tackle
Mehmet can't
possible
have it.
dissent,
Mehmet III can't
Ottoman
have that.
authorities in Constantinople respond by expelling any non-Muslims who lived in the city for less
Yeah,
than
you have
5
to.
years.
You have to.
Mihai's fame spreads across the continent. Many warriors, sellswords, and mercenary companies flock to join him.
So his ranks are getting higher
Ottoman
as well.
scholar
He's becoming a
Seranik
threat
Mustafa
within the area.
writes of the great destruction. All of our Sanjaks are captured. We are ruined. The urgency of the situation is such that Sinan Pasha himself, the great mastermind behind the successful campaign against the Austrians, is recalled from Hungary to organize a counterattack on Wallachia. But Mihai has reasons to worry.
Yeah,
While
of course
his
he does.
campaign was certainly successful, having personally led his troops in battle, he saw firsthand that the Wallachian army is obsolete and in a deplorable state. Aside from contingents of Cossacks and Sekeli mercenaries, Wallachian troops are poorly equipped.
Shit,
There is a
how's he
general
gonna deal with
shortage
it
of
then?
horses, weapons, carriages, tents, and even food supplies, water and fodder.
Transylvania needs to
Furthermore,
provide
there is
them
a
with
problem
goods
with
then at
discipline
least,
and
right?
Basic training among the troops. At night, passwords would be called out loud in the camps.
This
Wallachian
isn't an
troops would
army, it's a
view foreign
mob.
mercenaries with suspicion, sometimes encamping separately and refusing to cooperate with them. Mihai realizes that he needs a professional army of mercenaries if he is to have any chance at stopping the efficient Ottoman war machine.
Okay, so
But
how
paying
does he do
salaries
that?
For thousands of mercenaries and equipping them with firearms is extremely expensive. so expensive that the entire state of Wallachia cannot afford it. Nevertheless, Mihai puts his already weak Wallachian economy under stress in order to secure the necessary funding. He imposes much higher taxes on his subjects than the Ottomans did previously. In
Is that
addition,
going to piss
he
him off?
introduces a law that ties peasants to their landlords' estates in an
What?
attempt to avoid financial instability, thus
No
effectively
way.
enforcing servitude upon his people. He takes away the liberties
That's going to
of
be a
countless
problem.
free villages,
That's going to cause
turning them
uprisings,
into
right?
dependent communities. Some communities attempt to buy their freedom and, ironically, the constant need for funds to pay for his mercenary army forces Mihai to accept the bribes, thereby invalidating his own laws. Needless to say, the high taxes, oppressive laws and corruption quickly make him very unpopular.
Yeah, I was about to say.
But Mihai considers these measures necessary. Furthermore, he expands the alliance with Sigismund, effectively becoming his vassal in exchange for substantial military support.
Interesting.
The
Is he
terms
going to
imposed
betray that
by
later?
Sigismund are much worse than those Wallachia had with the Ottomans before the war. Mihai's reasoning is that he needs military support now, and he would have agreed to any terms.
And he's just going to go back
With
on them
his
later,
numbers
hence what he
bolstered
done
to
with the
around
Ottomans with the
15,000,
loans.
Mihai takes up position on the Danube.
He does what
Across
needs
the
to be
river,
done.
The Ottomans are amassing 100,000 combat and non-combat troops, intent on fully incorporating Wallachia
That's
into
a
the
lot.
empire.
Wallachia wouldn't be able to
Operations
handle
cross
it
the
at this
river
moment in
begin
time.
in July, but Mihai's guerrilla tactics delay their advance by a
Nice.
whole month before he is forced to retreat when
Okay.
Ottomans manage to establish a bridgehead.
Maybe they
Mihai
can deal
stops
with
his
it.
army and makes a stand near Calugareni.
Shit, he's going to go for it. How does he get out of this? I didn't think he'd be able to. How many troops has he got now, though? 50,000 at
It's
best.
early morning. Mihai's camp is in a narrow valley, less than 2 kilometers wide. Hills and thick forests surround the Wallachian position on 2 sides. Numerous streams flow down into the Nyajlov River, forming
Okay.
a largely impassable swamp.
Interesting.
A single road goes across a bridge through the swamp, connecting Giurgiu and Bucharest. Knowing that the Wallachian army is somewhere in the valley, Sinan dispatches scouts to find fords across the swamp and stops his column so the rest of his troops can catch up.
Just in case as
The
well.
aggressive Mihai goes on the offensive, wanting to engage the
okay.
Ottomans while only a part of their
Mihai
army
is
is
fucking
present.
on it.
Sinan shores up his ranks and readies the men, just in time. The momentum of the charge initially pushes the Ottoman line back, but Mihai surprisingly begins a fighting retreat towards the bridge soon after.
He knows that the other troops are
He
just
keeps the
coming.
Ottomans committed, giving more and more ground, forcing Sinan to send more troops to prevent the vanguard from being separated from the rest of the army.
Now he's going to turn back on him?
The retreat slows at a choke point near the bridge. Mihai's mercenaries inflict heavy losses on the enemy while they continue to pull back across the river, but the Ottoman vanguard is just as eager to press the advantage.
Interesting.
As
He's
Sinan
trying to get him
himself
over the
comes
bridge?
Closer to the bridge, the Wallachian army on the other side comes into view.
Ah,
The
there
enemy
you
lured him into
go.
an ambush.
Nice.
Mihai's
It's like a
cannons
feigned
open
retreat
fire
by
from
the
other side
Mongols.
of the river. Ottoman troops are forced to march across the field under a constant barrage, while the vanguard
Mihai is just showing how much of a good fucking general he is.
Seeing that some of his men are wavering, Sinan personally rallies the troops. With their general urging them forward, the Ottomans push the enemy back. Mihai responds by ordering more troops to descend on the crossing to hold the line.
Okay.
The deafening noise of the fighting drowns out orders from captains on either side. Meanwhile, Sinan's scouts return with good news. The way through the swamp is treacherous, but
But they
possible.
found one. No
The
way.
Ottoman general seizes
Shit.
the opportunity to envelop the enemy. He sends one contingent south of the bridge and orders another to find a way through the swamp and attack Mihai's right flank.
Shit.
At the bridge, sparring
What's Mihai
between the
gonna
two
do?
armies continues, as neither side is able to break the stalemate. Mihai receives reports that an Ottoman contingent is attempting an encirclement from the south. Aware that he doesn't have the numbers to fight an open battle, Mihai reforms his left flank. He fires all of his cannons towards the approaching Ottoman cavalry, With a Wallachian
How does it
line
do?
supported by artillery, Sinan's right wing abandons the attack.
Yeah,
while under
okay.
heavy
It was
bombardment.
enough to scare him.
At the bridge, the fighting also dies down as the exhausted troops disengage to catch their breath. Meanwhile, the Ottoman left wing is unable to find a way through the dense swamp.
Okay then.
Around noon, Sinan launches a full-scale offensive, ordering Janissaries to attack the bridge and both flanks to envelop the enemy.
Shit. They're gonna go for it
Initially,
again.
It seems like the fighting near the bridge will be a repeat of the stalemate from earlier in the day. But Sinan orders trees to be cut down and placed over the swampy river around the bridge. Janissaries take advantage of the wider crossing and gain the upper hand.
Can they actually?
Meanwhile,
Shit.
some of the Ottoman
Nice.
artillery finally catches up. Sinan orders most of the artillery to support his cavalry on the right flank. Another 2 hours
That
of
right
fighting
flank
pass.
is like in dangerous waters
Exhausted,
there.
the Wallachian line is on the verge of collapse. Fearing a rout, Mihai orders an organized retreat,
Okay.
abandoning 10 of his cannons to the enemy. The Ottomans soon give up their pursuit, as their troops are just as exhausted after fighting for hours in the midday summer heat. The afternoon wears on, and a thick fog descends on the valley.
Mihai's gonna
Sinan
go for it,
proceeds
isn't
to
he?
send troops across the river. Mihai
I would.
knows he must act. A few hours later, he orders a general attack,
Mm-hmm.
realizing that if the entire Ottoman army crosses, he will have no chance of defeating them. He puts his best troops in the front, sends a contingent of mounted scouts through the woods on his left, and places the reserves in the second line, positioning most of them
The
on his
Ottomans
right
left
flank,
out in Frank. We've
anticipating
got
an
to
Ottoman
remember those two
envelopment from the
cavalry
west.
units.
Sinan is at first unable to see the enemy approaching, but news of the attack soon reaches him.
Okay.
Out from the fog come Mihai's first line of mercenaries. In a sustained attack, the Wallachians try to push the Ottomans back towards the bridge, but Sinan's troops prove their mettle. and
Ah,
manage to
shit.
hold
They're
the
just
line.
gonna hold their ground.
Aware that it
What's
is only
Mihai
a
gonna
matter
do
of
here?
time before the momentum of the Wallachian attack withers away, Mihai puts his life on the line, attempting to reinvigorate the men. He gathers his personal retinue and charges to the forefront of the fight, throwing
Go on,
himself into the
Mihai.
enemy line, cutting down several Janissaries in a matter of seconds. This brave act has an immediate impact on the morale of his troops. The Wallachian army pushes forward, as if under a spell. Albert Kirai positions the 2 cannons under his command and fires at the Ottoman soldiers near the bridge.
Nice. Destroying the wood,
East,
maybe?
having
Or the
weaved their way
trees?
through the woods they know well, Mihai's scouts finally emerge and charge the enemy's right flank. For the first time, the Ottomans are on the back foot. Seeing that his men are losing heart, Sinan personally rides across the bridge to rally his men. His presence slows the Wallachian advance, but not before Mihai manages to recapture his 10 cannons.
Nice. And then they're gonna
A barrage is
turn.
unleashed on the mass of Ottoman soldiers at almost point-blank range. Meanwhile, Kirai fires his cannons at the Ottoman right flank. Pressed against the Janissaries
Is the
and
Ottoman
taking
left?
heavy losses,
The cavalry just not
Sinan's
gonna turn up
cavalry
in this
on the
fight.
right routes, with Mihai's scouts pursuing them across the river. Sinan joins the fighting himself and orders an all-out charge.
The
Ottoman
charge
troops
does nothing.
rally around their brave general. An intense battle ensues as neither side is willing to give in. In
Do the
melee,
two commanders
Sinan
get
is
to
thrown
fight
from
hand
his
to hand?
horse into the muddy river. His troops panic, believing that their general perished in battle. Some take flight across the bridge, while others
Ah, is
risk
that gonna
wading
cause
through
the
dangerous
the
swamp,
rout of the
desperate
army?
to cross the river. Amidst the chaotic fighting, it is some time before Sinan is helped back onto his horse. He reprimands his men for running away, hurling insults at them, demanding that they stand and fight. But it is too late.
There's just
What
too
little
many who
troops
have
remain
fled.
committed won't be able to check the Wallachian advance. He orders a general retreat. Mihai doesn't give chase, still threatened by the Ottoman left flank. But before the day ends, they too will be routed from the field. The battle lasted for about 16 hours. Wallachian losses are fairly light. Of the 15,000 troops under his command, Mihai lost about 1,000 men.
Nice. Those numbers
Most
are
of whom
good for
fell
the
in final
Wallachian.
charge. Meanwhile, Sinan
Principality.
wasn't able to bring his full force to bear, and of the 30 to 40,000 troops that participated in the battle, between 10 and 15,000 perished. 4 pashas and 7 Sanjak begs fell in battle. Much of the
Shit.
artillery and treasure from the camp were lost to the enemy.
Holy shit. Mihai has got so much from that battle. He's going to be so happy with those
But
games.
Mihai didn't enjoy his victory for long.
Okay,
Vastly
why?
outnumbered, he realizes that he cannot continue a full-scale war against the Ottomans. And on the very night after the battle, he retreats north into the mountains, where he waits for reinforcements from Sigismund and the Holy League. Meanwhile,
I see,
Sinan
what a shame.
marches further
He's done
into
so
Valahia.
much.
He occupies Bucharest, Târgoviște, and other major cities, and begins instating the full apparatus of the Ottoman administration, preparing Valahia for annexation into the empire. But the story doesn't end here.
It definitely doesn't. There are another 4 more parts in this
If you enjoyed the
series, and
video,
I am looking
please hit
forward
that
to it.
like button and subscribe. Your support would
See what
really
some of
help our
these
channel.
says. Hit that bell icon if you haven't already. Some contemporaries claimed that the Wallachian army captured the green banner of Prophet Muhammad. This is incorrect. Accounts vary on how the battle started. Mihai either skirmished, like we showed in this video, or ambushed the Ottoman vanguard, prompting Sinan to send more troops. Of the 100,000 Ottoman troops that entered Wallachia, 50 to 60,000 were combat troops. Between 30 and 40,000 took part in the battle. Okay, that's very, very interesting. I really enjoyed this reaction. I hope you guys did as well. It was a bit of a longer one by HistoryMarche, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. If you're looking forward to it, if you haven't already, head over to their page. That link's in the description box down below. If you're enjoying my reaction or looking forward to future reactions, you know what you need to do. You need to like, comment, subscribe, hit that notification bell, and I will catch you in the next video.